Welcome to this edition of COVID-19 Conversations. I'm Mitch Krujna, and today I would like to welcome Gregg Brighenti. He's the principal of Lee Middle and High School. Welcome, Gregg.
Thank you.
Yes. Now, can you give us a kind of a timeline from early mid-March of when you heard news of the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic upon your school system and your high school and middle school?
Sure. It was actually Friday, March 13th, and I remember that because it was a half day, and the staff was in professional development that afternoon, and we got the call from the superintendent saying that locally Berkshire County superintendents had made the decision to be out for a couple weeks. And that's kind of where we thought maybe it was going to end until obviously the commissioner extended it for that first month and then until the end of the school year a few weeks later. So yeah, it came pretty quick, and we really weren't anticipating it to be the whole rest of the year.
Yeah, it's been I guess it's been every 2 weeks or so you got an update on what's going on with that, or?
Yeah, I think it was within that first week that we were out that the governor and commissioner made their first thing through April 6th was the first official statewide closure. And then a couple weeks into that, they made it for the rest of the year. So it was really a kind of a graduated thing, and certainly weren't expecting the full 3 months at the beginning.
Mm. So when did you start to begin a plan to do? First thing I guess is to ask, did you implement something like remote learning for the students, or how did you implement plans after the first week or so of school, the kids being out of school?
Yeah, so our initial thing was to really work with students who were not doing so well at the time of closure. So that first couple of weeks was really, we had some assignments to keep kids' minds busy, keep them going, but then we also tried to focus a little bit on those students who were a little bit behind and try to catch them up during those first couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until, I want to say it was April 6th, that Monday was the start of what I call true remote learning for us. And when we started delivering things largely online, and for those that don't have acceptable internet at home, we did packets, and that just continued through through June 12th, which was our last day of school.
And how has the students adjusted to all this that's been happening? Had they kind of got up to speed with things, or are they still having hard difficulties? Or
I would say that most of our students have been doing okay. I'm not going to say that there's been a lot of thriving. I think that missing human interaction is an important thing in schools. That it's something that we really hadn't thought about all that much until this happened. But most of our kids have done okay. We've had a small number of kids who really thrived with this, and we had on the opposite end a small number of kids who had a difficult time engaging in remote learning. And there's a number of reasons for that, but luckily for us, it was a relatively small number of students.
Mm. Now, was there any kind of resources for the students for emotional support or any kind of extra help with some of their classes and things?
Yeah, so, and of course, all this was delivered remotely through Zoom and Google Meets, but our guidance counselors tried to keep in as much contact as possible, especially with those struggling students. Our school adjustment counselor did yeoman's work, really, really increasing his caseload during this time to try to reach out to more students who really needed some assistance. It's tough, as you can probably imagine, remotely doing things like that. But you know, we did try to meet whatever needs we were able to during that time, and certainly looking forward to some semblance, hopefully, of in-person school back again in the fall.
Okay. So how have the parents responded to the situation?
I think overall very well. I think particularly at the younger grades, there was a lot of help from parents and pushing from parents that was necessary, and we certainly appreciate that. I know some of the emails and phone calls I've gotten have been around that theme of, wow, we're never going to say teachers don't earn their paycheck again,
Right.
and things like that.
Uh-huh.
But overall, parents really stepped up, and it's tough, right? I mean, we've got a lot of families
Mhm.
where both parents are working.
Mhm.
Even during the pandemic, both
Mhm.
parents were essential workers, and so it makes it tough for them to work all day, then come home and try to like be a teacher's aide, trying to get their kids to do their work. So we're really appreciative of those families that were able to pull that off.
Yeah. Hopefully, some of the older students who are helping their brothers and sisters with some of their learning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, was there any resources available for the parents to help with to get some resources and help with what's going on?
So we put together what I think is a pretty detailed remote learning website with a lot of resources and helpful links and things on there.
Mhm.
So hopefully parents found that to be very helpful. And you know, it's one of those things where after the fact you kind of look back and say, you know, if something like this were to happen again, God forbid, but if something like this were to happen again where the whole school was in remote learning, I think that's the piece that we need to figure out a little better. What are some more resources that we can give families to help them with their students during this time? I think we did a pretty good job, especially considering the fact that we didn't realize what we were getting into back in March 13th.
Mm.
But looking back, you know, doing that 2020 hindsight thing, that is one area where I think if we were to go in this direction again, we would want to try to help those families a little more.
Now, is there going to be any further learning options or possibilities for students during the summer? Any extra activities they can follow or to keep them kind of limbered up for the fall? Or
Yeah, so we are focusing our summer efforts on kids who did not earn credit for whatever reason this year, particularly at the high school level. So we want to try to make them recover those credits as much as possible over the summer. We also have some smaller group things, remote sessions going on for some of our students who are on IEPs. There'll be some remote instruction for them this summer. And I always say that the best thing that any students can do over the summer is just read a couple books. Doesn't have to be anything serious, anything to kind of keep their mind going, anything to, you know, just keep the thought that reading is really a lifelong thing that we should all be part of.
now, is it at this point, has there been any talk or planning for the fall coming, the fall, any guidelines or on how things would reopen in September?
We've had some initial conversations internally. What we're waiting for is the commissioner. He's indicated that he is going to make a statewide directive for how schools will reopen in the fall.
Mhm.
And he said that we should be getting that within the next week or so. So
Okay.
before we go into any really in-depth planning, we're kind of waiting to see what that document from the Commissioner of Education says.
Okay. Maybe we can revisit in a couple weeks and or and see how that is mapping out and
Absolutely.
hopefully trying to get some kind of normalcy back. It's gonna take a lot.
Yeah.
And let's see, we had graduation ceremony on Friday, the
Yes.
12th, and how describe some of the planning for that would work out for both the students and the parents to make it memorable for them.
Yeah. So I really need to thank a few people who made that possible. We reached out several weeks ago when the guidance from the state came in saying that in-person graduation ceremonies will have to wait until July 19th.
Mm.
We had a situation where we had 3 students who were going off to basic training before then. So we really wanted to, if at all possible, get those students, get the whole class together for a graduation ceremony before they left. We thought that honoring them was very important. And we looked at our small size. We had 53 seniors this year. So knowing all that, we approached the Board of Health, the Tri-Town Health Department down here, and they worked with us. We proposed a plan for graduation and some back and forth. We originally tried to get, as many tickets per senior as possible, and we had to whittle that back. And I get it. We are in a pandemic, and we have to follow those guidelines. But I need to thank Jim Willis over there at Tri-Town Health Department, the members of the Lee Board of Health. Smitty Pignatelli was involved in our early conversations, helping us between, in our communication with the state on this. Andrea Wadsworth is the chair of the Lee School Committee, and Mike Richard, our superintendent. It was really a group effort to get that plan approved by the Board of Health so that we could have that ceremony on Friday night. And we lucked out. The weather was beautiful. We've got a great scenic viewpoint back there in the football field with the mountains surrounding it. And it was really a nice, beautiful event. It was great. And thanks to all those that made that possible.
And you can still view that on CTSB. You can also go to the Facebook page, and I'm sure you can click on the link there and watch it. And my son just graduated from Lennox yesterday, and
Congratulations.
yeah, thanks. But it's kind of surreal, but I'm sure they'll remember it. We all will, but it's important, and even a ceremony, I know, is even in this kind of a situation, makes it special for them and for
Absolutely.
the parents,
Yeah.
So I guess is there any kind of like final thoughts you can over the last three months or so, like your assessment, and is there any kind of message you want to give to the students and the parents about all this?
I would say I would like to say thank you first off to the parents and students who really dove in and made the effort to finish up a school year in a very, very unusual circumstances. And certainly I want to thank the faculty who in a very short period of time were able to take their normal routine of in-person classes and flip that in a way that still we were able to deliver what I think was a solid education for those 3 months. Certainly not what we would have had in person, but they did great work to get that forward. So all 3 of those groups, the faculty, the students, and the staff, they in my mind deserve a big round of applause and thank you.
It's it's a lot easier when we can do things together and to as a community and parents and students and teachers. I've been saying it's like, it's undiscovered country. It's all new territory for us. We're writing as we go along. And um, yeah, well, Greg, I'd like to thank you for taking this time. And like I said, maybe we can do another interview in a couple weeks when we get some little more information about opening in the fall for the fall semester. And well,
Yeah, yeah,
Greg,
look forward to that.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, Greg, thank you for joining us, and I'd like to thank all of our viewers for watching us. And this is Mitch Kruzna. Have a good day.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so.
Now, before I turn the program over to Taggart Russa, allow me to read a message that Massachusetts Commissioner of Education Jeff Riley texted me earlier today, and he asked me to share it with you. Commissioner Riley wrote, "Lee High School graduates, you did it. I'm sorry I cannot be there with you tonight, but I wanted to pass along my congratulations. I also wanted to leave you with two quick thoughts. First, none of us get where we are without help and support from others. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but at some point soon, take a minute to thank a parent, a teacher, or other person who helped you get here tonight. And second, be kind to each other. Now more than ever, it's important to listen and show kindness to all people. We never know what someone else is going through, so be kind." Congrats again to the Lee High School class of 2020. Thank you and congratulations.
I'd like to begin with a few thank yous. To start, I'd like to thank my classmates for choosing me to represent them as their class speaker. I'd like to thank our principal, Mr. Brighenti, for putting together the most normal graduation ceremony he could during these complicated times. I'd like to thank all the faculty members who have always supported and encouraged us. And most importantly, I'd like to thank all the parents and guardians here today, especially mine. For most of us, they've played an important part in our success.
We have failed. We have succeeded. We have been right or sometimes wrong over the years. But now, you can choose your own paths and do what you want to do in this always evolving world. We were once naive freshmen trying to navigate high school with new classes, clubs, and sports to sign up for. Now, we have conquered that, becoming confident seniors ready to go out in the world. Our experiences have set us up to reach this milestone and to start on our journey towards reaching the next goal. High school may be coming to a close, but class of 2020, remember, nothing can get in our way of achieving anything we want to.
We are gathered here today to recognize the beginning of a bright future, as well as the end of an unforgettable era. Today is our day. Today, we celebrate the achievements we've earned these last few years. We say goodbye to the teachers and faculty that we've come to love and trust. We dream about the journey that lies ahead of us. We reminisce in the memories that made our experiences so great and uplifting, as well as the moments that felt like we were going through an actual pandemic, which we are. If we can thrive during this time of hardship and uncertainty, we can survive through anything. And for that to come true, my fellow classmates, you must believe it too. So remember this the next time that someone is struggling to fit in, can't figure out their math homework, or just needs help figuring out what to do next. You've been there before. You know what it's like to struggle through adversity, only to be motivated to success, and find it in you to become the generation to pass kindness and generosity along, because you never know what's going to come in the future. Maybe a killer virus, murder hornets, the apocalypse, for all we know. Find it in you to always give a helping hand, to love and care unconditionally. And similarly to our experiences in high school, find it in you to give without expecting anything in return. And together, we can change the world.
Almost 200 years ago, a poet said, "Come, my friends, 'tis not too late to seek a newer world." That seems so fitting today. The class of 2020 was born into a world newly shocked by the events of 9/11 and comes to adulthood in a time of pandemic and protest. It will be your task, more so than that of your teachers and parents and grandparents, to create that newer world, to figure out what it looks like. As you do that, I beg of you to remember to ground your actions and beliefs in the idea that you've helped reinforce for me these past few months. The idea that it's all about love above all else. Do that, and we all might just get that newer world. Make us proud, class of 2020. Keep making us proud. Thank you. Taggart James Rusa. Would our class marshal come forward? Would the members of the class of 2020 please stand? Chairman Wadsworth, on behalf of the administration, faculty, and staff of Lee Middle and High School, I present to you the class of 2020 for graduation. Each of these students has met the requirements for graduation put forth by the Lee School Committee and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Do you accept them for graduation?
On behalf of the Lee Public Schools, I do. And I now declare you graduates of Lee Middle and High School in the Union 29 Lee Tyringham School District. Congratulations.
Your class marshal will lead you in moving your tassels. Congratulations, class of 2020.